client is dealing with acne, do you recommend they go straight for a liver detox?
No, do
Oh,
not
okay.
go into liver detox. I know it's a trend. I know a lot of people are doing it.
Hmm.
Don't do that. The reason is
Welcome to the Clear Skin Chronicles, the podcast that takes you on a journey to uncover the secrets of achieving glowing, acne-free skin. We believe that knowledge is power, and by understanding the root causes of acne, we can create a solid foundation for long-lasting clear skin. I'm Katie Stewart, registered holistic nutritionist and founder of the Clear Skin Solution, where we help women just like you get to the root cause of their acne.
And I'm Chris Brown, registered holistic nutritionist and program director inside the Clear Skin Solution. Through functional testing, we pinpoint where the body system imbalances lie, so we can dive deep into the acne clearing journey.
We work virtually with clients to clear up their skin from the inside out and have helped thousands of women worldwide regain their confidence.
As you listen to the podcast, we've had many of Katie's BFFs, colleagues, fabulous connections shared with you. Yet today, Katie, hang tight, right? I'm going to take the reins and I'm introducing to the world, Andre, welcome, because you're going to the world, a person that without a shadow of a doubt is my biggest inspiration to dig deeper into connections, provide a safe environment like for me to foster my confidence. Yes, as practitioners, sometimes we lose a little bit of confidence, and a soul that really, it's gracious because he owes me nothing but provides guidance without complaint and only compassion. So without delay, Andre Lalonde is our guest today. So,
thank
and
you so
before,
much.
well, hold on, before I give you the mic, I want to give a little prelude into your expertise because I think it's an injustice that we don't do that. So, Andre has an organizational sense that promotes balance on a scientific ground, a depth of knowledge of the musculoskeletal system. We've got the nervous system, osteopathic approach, master degree. You're going to have to tell me if I've missed something because, I forget sometimes. So a master degree in sports science, specialization in kinesiology, sports, exercise therapy. You've attained your degree in naturopathic science at a doctorate level. You've studied bachelor's degree in nursing at the University of Montreal. Amongst elevating all of that in traditional Chinese medicine applications, massage therapy. If there is something I have missed, I'm sorry. We only have a small time in this podcast to put all your stuff in here. So even with all these achievements and licensing and all your professional with, naturopathy is not a regulated profession in the province of Quebec where you are practicing right now. That's unlike most provinces in Canada, including where Katie and I are in Ontario. So as such, NDs in Quebec are limited in the level of care that you can address, you can do, even saying the word doctor in description to your name is a no-no. So rather today, we're going to address you as Andre to ensure that we're going to uphold your designation credentials and support with the CONO. And that way we keep everybody happy. What do you think?
Yes, I love the presentation. And it's exactly accurate. Like, yes, you did mention that I have a bachelor's degree in nursing. And just to
Mm-hmm.
make sure, because a lot of people don't know what nurses are doing, my specialty in nursing was kidney failure, ER, and ICU. So I'm a critical nurse care specialist, and I did it for 10 years. Yes, I know it sounds like what is the age of the guy? Like, is he 85, 95 years old? That guy
Yeah,
with
I want
all
to
those
know because you've
schooling.
never told us, but I won't ask.
So yes, and also my master was specialized more with neurological issues. So a lot of victims from stroke, ALS, MS, and autoimmune disease towards everything that has to do with the brain and the spine, even including concussions. And as I became graduate with my doctorate degree in naturopathic medicine, and yes, I did comply to the regulation of CONO. So right now, my title, official title, it's PLAR. So I'm a candidate to the profession because eventually I will get the full license right, prescriptions IV in Ontario, but I'm in the process of doing it. And I will not be able to do it in Quebec but in Ontario, I will be able to do it when I'm going to get the full scope of practice. And my specialties will be mainly to help everybody to understand how to maintain their health, including the therapist, how to coach them for the client to get the best of everything.
Love it. And both Chris and I have seen you for different reasons over the years. And for both Chris and I to equally agree that you are an extremely intelligent man is saying something. And I remember having my first consultation with you, and Chris was like, "So, how did it go?" I'm like, "Whoa."
I think your exact words were, I'm dumb.
Yeah, I was
I'm
like,
dumb.
I was like, I feel lesser than.
We do, because I do want everybody to understand is, it's funny, as we work with clients and stuff, they always say, well, who do you use? Who do you use? Right? Because we tend to be picky. Andre, you're going to, me maybe a little bit more picky than Katie. He's shaking his head, yes. I am definitely.
That is your personality.
I am definitely picky. So the fact that I bring my children and myself to Andre can just attest to the level of expertise that he has to not only decode the Chris brain, but he allows, again, it just fosters that environment where I can speak gibberish and he's like, okay, yeah, I get it, right?
Andre, welcome to the club of those that can speak fluent Chris.
There's very few.
It's probably me, you, and like 50% Steve.
Gosh, no, I would say probably maybe Paige.
Paige.
She's getting better.
There's 4 of us in the club.
So we do have a series of questions, like a rapid fire, right? So some are going to be simple close-ended questions, yes or no responses. Have at it. If you need more explanation, go for it. Others, get into that detail. However, you know what, Katie? I think you should take on the first question.
I kind of feel like you set us up, Chris, for like a presidential debate. Like you were like, this is what's going to happen. These are the things, and this is that. So like, let's do it.
When you start to hear, Katie, you've been the other side of Andre.
I have.
When you start to hear these connections,
incredible.
Like, you're going to be like, what in the world? Now, Andre, we do apologize if people start seeking your guidance. We haven't sent them to you, but we're just saying.
Obviously, you know that if you're listening, this podcast is all about the hair trace mineral analysis. And when it comes to the hair trace mineral analysis, so often people assume that it's just about nutrient levels, that it just shows I have too much zinc, and it just shows that I don't have enough calcium, and I just need to take the calcium and I need to stop taking the zinc. When in fact, a hair trace mineral analysis is so much deeper than that. So Andre, I would love for you to share, why does the HTMA interest you?
Okay, so HTMA, so the hair analysis minerals, it's, as you said, it's more than minerals. But a lot of people, like I've been asked many clients the question by therapists, by doctors, by nurses, by other of my colleagues, what is the difference between hair analysis and blood analysis? When we do a blood analysis, we are checking like a photo instant shot. So today, if I'm taking a picture of you girls, it's not going to show me the full range of your spectrum. It will show me what I see right now. When you do the hair analysis, it will show me the full spectrum, but in a period of 3 to 6 months. So it will show me more quality of what is the real picture, because it will show everything. Not only that it will show the minerals, but it will show why the minerals are not being used or overused. What minerals are deficient, in which one can become a heavy metal. What do I mean about heavy metal? Heavy metal seems to be like having a bad word in this world. Heavy metals, it's minerals that are harder or work slower. So it takes longer for your body to take care of them. But they can mimic a minerals. So just if I take aluminum, we see a lot of aluminum in a hair analysis that can mimic or can block the action of the hydrochloric acid in the stomach. Mercury, lead can combine itself or replace or use or mimic iron or calcium. So when we do hair analysis, we can see that, yes, maybe you're calcium deficient, but why? Or yes, your calcium is like toxic, but why? Because we're seeing also the heavy metal. And then you can compare also the ratio. Compare ratio, calcium versus lead, calcium versus aluminum. So it just gives us a better, broader picture. This is why I love the hair analysis because it shows us bigger, longer, and a real picture of the client.
I love that. And I completely agree is that it really gives that bigger picture. And you kind of alluded to this fact already, Andre, but a question we get all the time, whether it's client or on social media, is what's the difference between the screening applications between a traditional blood draw that you would get at your medical doctor and an HTMA?
Okay, so a blood draw, you have to know what you're asking for. So if I do a blood draw, I have to ask for specific minerals. They're not going to do it the full spectrum. They're not going to do the full analysis. You have to actually cross on every one to show what it is. When you do a blood analysis, it will show you what's floating around, not what your body is ingesting, keeping it in, and storing it for later. It will not show you that because you're checking for liquid. And if you remember, protein, it's one of the amino acid, or it's the combination of amino acid that will attach or leach itself to the minerals. If the protein are floating around, then it will show the picture. As the hair analysis, we know that our hair, mostly like it's our skin, it's made of protein. Most of the protein that we know will be peptides, collagen will be elastin. So the minerals can attach itself to that. So in the hair, it shows way much more. It's almost like I always compare it as you have a cabinet and you don't know if you have the food in it. So what you have to do in your kitchen, you open a cabinet, you want to make pasta. You're looking if you have pasta available. If I'm looking at the stove, that will be more like the blood work. If I'm looking in my pantry, it will show me the hair analysis. So it will show me what am I cooking and what am I having left for later on also.
I love that.
That's easy.
That's easy.
Well, thanks for that, because I've obviously been overcomplicating it. Yeah, so we love that. So we're saying hair trace mineral gives a synopsis of several months, because our hair grows about half an inch a month, where the blood lab is a collection of what is current.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, love it.
And more than that, also, because it's at the moment that you're doing it. So if I'm doing it in the morning or if I'm doing it at night, I will show a different picture.
The other thing, sidebar here, because I do deal with so many clients with regards to this, and because I have thyroid, you have thyroid. It's a thyroid family over here. Katie's the only one that's.
No. Remember my swollen thyroid?
Okay, so
remember when that blew up?
Thyroid family.
The postpartum thyroiditis.
Right. So when we look at this big schematic of stuff, it's also the pharmaceuticals or the medications that we take prior to testing the blood. Right. So often, just an example for the thyroid is if we're going to take the usable T3 and we have T3 inside our pharmaceutical, our drug, like I do, I have a desiccated, I have a bit of both. What's going to happen to my blood labs? It's going to show probably regulated levels. Mm-hmm. Hence, don't take it. And now we're going to see 24 hours later, that little snapshot, right? So I just wanted to use that example because often we get, well, no, my doctor said that it doesn't matter if I take my medication before I do this. At least with the HTMA, it gives that full encompass of the displacement of what might be happening, say, with the liver and the detoxification of medication versus what medications, one, in the blood, and two, our body's using it. Is that fair?
Yeah, exactly. On the spot. Exactly that.
Okay. So ready for my question?
Go for it. I'm ready.
Isn't his confident? He's like, I've got these. And I'm like, I'm sweating here.
He's got zero qualms about any questions coming his way.
I've been doing this for more than 25 years.
Okay, we're getting closer to the age, Katie. Hold on. Keep writing this stuff down.
We'll figure it
out. Okay. So just for everybody listening, there's 4 major areas of interest inside the HTMA report for the ones that we use most. So we have our toxic metals, our potential or non-toxic metals. We have our nutrient metals and our nutrient minerals. So nutrient minerals. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. And the ratios of those nutrient minerals. So I personally do have a favorite section on the report. Doesn't mean I don't use the whole thing, but I call it my sexy section. what it's true. I love them.
I know it's true. That's why I'm laughing.
So what's your favorite, not discounting that we use it as a whole, but what's your favorite section that you find you get the most value after you've done the assessment of everything?
The section that I love the most, and I see a lot of my clients don't understand the full process of it, it's the cofactors. So that will be the mineral that will be assisting the function of the body. Not so much the mineral that your body use, but the minerals and the vitamins that your body need for the other one to use. So I always go like this. If I'm having two workers in my office and works with me, who is the most important person? Not me. It will be my coworkers, because the coworkers will help me to become a better practitioner. So it's going to enhance my practice because I'm getting a second opinion, or I'm getting the help and the second head. So it's like they always say that's that mojo of it's better two head than one. So that my cofactors will be my second head that help me to fully understand the picture of it.
Okay, same. I'm like, am I drooling? Because this might be a
I
problem.
knew that was your favorite section because you've said it so many times.
See, Katie does listen to me, Andre.
I do listen.
Here we just thought she ignored.
Once in a while.
However, I love that you said that, because it's a synergy now of those ratios that bring in the body systems. It's not the single nutrient, the single mineral, but rather how they work in that synergy. So that's my fave.
All right. So I did pick a part out that, Andre, you said you've been doing this for 25 years now. I'm assuming you've reviewed your fair share of blood labs in this time. So for you, how often have you seen a patient with elevated heavy metals in their system?
95% of my clientele have heavy metal, like over the top. Now we're hearing more, and this is a part of what naturopathic medicine is getting involved into. It's helping people with the environment toxicity, because now we're seeing it more. Yes, a lot of us are into organic. A lot of us are into trying to eat clean and healthy. But as you know, as the world goes, it's impossible to be completely excluded all the heavy metal in our system, in our society, because we're going to be exposed at any cost. Many times I will have some of my colleagues say, but yes, but my client is eating organic. They're doing everything. The red sauna, the infrared sauna, they're doing everything, but they're still toxic with the heavy metal because it is everywhere in our water, in the rain, and in our soil. And it's impossible for us to eat pills. So we need to eat food. So at one point, we're going to be intoxicated with heavy metal. But this is not the bad guy. It's knowing that your body have the ability, and I emphasize on the ability for it to be able to come out, because a heavy metal will always be there. It's how do you process the heavy metal? Do you keep it in, or do you help the body to get it out?
I'm glad you brought that up, that it's almost impossible not to have some level of heavy metals in our system living here. And for example, like Chris and I run a HTMA on ourselves every year. And two of the heavy metals that I consistently see, they're still in the green, but they're high in the green. And those are aluminum and barium. Even though I eat 100% organic, I have nothing aluminum in my house. You know, I'm very good with all of my cookware, but I live in the Niagara region, and it's a heavily sprayed area for pesticides. So I'm of course still going to be getting, heavy metal runoff in those pesticides.
Exactly. And we have to remember that this aluminum and barium will be the highest one. But the thing is also, we have to remember that those minerals have a purposes in our industry. It just happened that people are being overexposed. So I will never be against a company that will use aluminum, but I will be against if you're over consuming. I always had that discussion with my client. I said, do you remember when your grandmother used to bring their fine Danish dishware? Like they used to have
Only
those
at the
mini,
holidays.
and they had those mini, like things. But the portion were smaller back then. Now we're emphasizing on everything. Just to give you an example, I went to a conferences, and we're about 10 of us that went to that conferences. And just before we went, we said, okay, let's go and get a coffee and a muffin. And I'm not joking. We went to a regular store, not an oversized, not fast food. And I'm not joking. My muffin was big like this. I think my screen is not even big. So I look at the waitress and I said, "Is there an error of what I ordered?" And she goes, "Why? It's not big enough." I'm like, "No, the portion, it's a birthday cake for a kid." So I said to my colleagues, I said, "I'm not going to eat that." So I said, "We're going to cut it and I'm going to offer it." The waitress, she turned around and she looks at us, and obviously we come from Quebec, and she goes, "Oh." And she made that comment that I was not really respectful, but it's okay. She made that comment, and I have to respect that she made that comment. She turned around and she looked at her colleague and she says, "Those anorexic bitches."
No.
Because the thing is, we didn't want to eat the full muffin.
At a restaurant, the server said that to you?
Yeah, because like I'm not big as to begin with. Like I'm 150 pounds and I'm 5'7", so I'm very small to begin with. But this
Just
is my
slim. That's
life.
your build.
Yeah, I'm built like that. I wish I can get bigger and get fuller, but that means that I have to go to the gym 7 days a week. I have to exercise 4 or 5 hours a day. I don't have time for that.
We heard based on your credentials alone that you most likely don't have time for 7 days a week at the gym.
Yeah, he's not
Exactly.
sleeping now. So
Yeah, he doesn't
Exactly.
sleep now.
I had that discussion many times with my colleagues in Ontario and in Vancouver. So they're saying, "Andre, you're telling us that your hair analysis shows that my heavy metal are high, but when I compare it to a blood work, it doesn't show the same results." I always say, remember that minerals cannot work. It cannot be like free in the body. It has to attach to a protein base in the blood. What is the protein base that we exist? Red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Maybe a little bit of albumin, but very low. When you check in hair analysis, mainly the hair, it's made of protein. So if the minerals are attached to an amino acid, take one of them, could be proline, could be valine, could be isoleucine. If it's attached to those amino acid, obviously you're going to get a better picture from the hair that you're going to see it from the blood draw. And always remember, the hair analysis shows 3 to 6 months. The blood draw show instant, as when the nurse poke your vein, draw the blood, put it into a tube, and then if you ever saw a blood draw, it's about that much. So in that much in your full body, then when you take the hair analysis, people will say, "Yeah, but the hair analysis, you don't only take that much hair." And I'm like, "Yes, but this is 3 to 6 months of exposure to it."
I love that.
My favorite functional test that I love the most will be the comprehensive analysis for stool analysis. The main reason is, why do I love that test? Not only that it shows what is the integrity of the intestine wall, more than that, it shows, like hair analysis, if my walls are leaking, if my walls are stronger, if my walls are thicker, if my walls are not efficient, it will show me why. Because we always forget about the microflora, so the microbiome that exists in our gut. And I love that test because people think about colon as the colon, so meaning from the large part, so the ascending colon to the descending colon, all the way to the rectum. And that stool analysis starts from the mouth, go all the way to the anus. So we can see if there's a dysbiosis. And what did I say about dysbiosis? If there's some bacteria that are overpopulating in certain areas where they shouldn't, meaning in our gut flora. So if I'm taking my mouth, I should have the aerobic microbiome. So the one that needs oxygen to feed itself. So I find a lot of it that are anaerobic, meaning they don't live on oxygen. Then I'm like, wait a second. In my mouth, I have my nose, I have my mouth, so I'm breathing in oxygen. How come they can't survive in my mouth? Because they need to survive only in an environment where there's no presence of oxygen. So if they are there, what do? They kick the good ones out. So they kick the one that need oxygen. It's like, let's say you take a room and you have like 2 people in the room and they're very comfortable. And then suddenly you get 100 people that are like banning on people and are like disrupting everything. What will happen to the gut microbe in your mouth? So the room, they're not going to be able to function properly. So if you're taking that and then you're checking it into the esophagus, obviously the gastric juices will kill most of the bacteria that exist in the stomach. So there's only one bacteria that I know mostly that will be H. pylori that will remain that, but it's not one of the good ones. So it should be like the
No,
bad one.
we don't like
Exactly.
H. pylori.
Exactly. And then
No.
in the small intestines, then we're going to see other bacteria that are anaerobic. So they don't need oxygen. Why? Because they're further and they shouldn't have any oxygen. So when there's oxygen, then people will call this a SIBO. So super overgrowth bacteria in the small intestine. So there is bacteria that exist there. They shouldn't be there, but they feed on oxygen. So, but there's no oxygen that goes there. How come? The food can convert itself into a gas. And then by creating that distension, it just helps the oxygen to go a little bit more deeper. So it feeds the bacteria that shouldn't be there. Same thing for the colon. So I'm going to see it's going to answer, I'm going to see a lot of questions, and I'm going to see a lot of results that will explain. I love hair analysis because this is my baby. And I love the Stool analysis, and combined with both of them, I can see way much more than all those fancy tests.
Yeah.
And I don't want to bring down another company that's doing anything else. But you're right. There's many tests. You have to choose the one that are based on your symptom. You don't do a test to diagnose. You make a test to confirm a diagnostic.
Mhm. I love that answer. And I absolutely agree with you. My two favorite tests is a stool analysis and an HTMA, because combined together, they give so much information. And we include an HTMA, of course, for anyone in the Clear Skin Solution. And we do have a stool analysis as an upgrade available because it is a more cost intense or more costly test to run, but it is so incredibly informative. That's another one I run on myself every year.
Yeah, we love them, right? Like it's also, sometimes we just get bound by what we can offer and what we can do and all of these things. And it's sad because the common goal is to give somebody a preventative model, but actually going and giving them a plan for restoring. So that's why, to keep the cost down, even, applying the hair trace mineral analysis, fantastic, because often when we go through the clinical files and everything, or Andre, when we're doing that together, we look at things and we can see gut interplay. We can see, the ratio of molybdenum and copper, or we can see the acidity, or we can see the oxidation rate, so that we know, oh my gosh. And I know people are like, what does all that mean? Don't worry about it. When you hang with us, I will break it down for you. But all of these things contribute. And when people have acne, one of their things is they've been suffering forever. So is acne the primary issue the person is suffering from?
Acne will be a symptom of something else. I know that we're focusing on symptoms, and this is how our industry and how we are based. I have a cold, I want to get the cold out. I have a headache, I want to get the headache out. I have runny nose, I want to take care of my runny nose. I don't want to know about why I have a runny nose. I don't want to know why I have a headache. I just want to have that symptoms. Many clients come to me and says, okay, Andre, I have this disease. And I'm like, no, it's not a disease. You're mentioning symptoms. I said, it's not. It's symptoms means nothing. Just to give you an example, because I know that in my head, I know what I'm talking about, but I want to make it clear. So a simple headache could be 4, 5, 6, 10 things. The first thing that we are trained to, a headache for us, it's someone that will be potentially dying within 5 minutes. Why? Because a headache could be bleeding, could be a tumor, or could be simply just tension.
You're freaking people out right now.
They're gonna go to WebMD. They're gonna WebMD. They're like, I gotta go to the ER now. I gotta go to the ER.
And Andre knows this because his patients are doing the same thing.
Oh, yes. But I'm perfectly okay if they go to WebMD and they check the symptoms, as long as they don't look at the symptoms. So acne, this is the purposes here. So acne could be a leaky gut. Okay, yes, leaky gut, you're hearing it. And I'm not saying all the acne are leaky gut.
Right.
Okay? I want to make sure that it's not one symptom, that it's for all the disease. So a disease It's something that it's disrupting your body from functioning normally. Why does our body need to function normally? There's one principle. The blood has to work from the head to the toes. This is how you maintain life. Why? When do we do CPR? It's when the heart does not push blood. Why do we do CPR? To push the blood in the body. Why does people have diabetes? Because the sugar is too high in the blood. Why does people have hypoglycemia? Because the sugar is too low. Why does people suffer from cholesterol? Because the cholesterol is too high. Why does people have menopause? Because the hormone in the blood is too low. So see, all of these factors works on the blood. So if the blood works normally, so a headache, if it's bleeding in morbid, if it's bleeding in the brain, if it's bleeding into the esophagus, just bleeding in the esophagus can create a headache. Just hay fever, a sinusitis can create a headache. Just a dysbiosis in our gut can create a headache. So acne, it's a symptom. Remember, it's not a disease. Yes, there is some disease that have the word acne in it, but does not mean acne, it's a disease. Acne, it's a symptom of it's we are calling acne for a skin eruption, and then there's different level into it because there's like androgen acne, as you know, there's like cystic acne, there's porphyria acne, there's menopause acne, there's teenagers acne, there's many kind of acne. So do not focus on the symptom, try to find the root cause of the symptom, and the symptom here it's acne.
Andre, I think you're just going to need to be our new mascot because that was perfect. And of course, doing what we do, we 150% agree that acne is just an external symptom of an internal disease, that you have to get down to that root in order to resolve the symptom of acne. And, it's never, in our experience, and I'm going to ask you, Andre, it's never just acne. There's always other things off in the body.
Yeah, you're right. Because if I take juvenile acne, so people call this acne for teenagers, what is the big disruption? On a guy will be excess of androgen, so high testosterone. And on a girl, they will going to say, oh, it's because of PCOS, or because she has high testosterone. But sometimes it could be just that whatever she's doing, there's a dysbiosis that just makes sure she recycle her estrogen. And the estrogen, if it goes too high, then it would convert itself into testosterone. And then if it converts itself into testosterone, then she will have other symptoms. So if we are doing what people are doing, looking at symptoms and fixing what symptoms by symptoms, you can take a ton of supplements. This is what I see in my practice. Many people will see some of my other colleagues in Quebec. And remember, we're only 28 of us that have my training or some kind of my training. So they have the doctorate degree. The other ones do not have. So it could be like anything. So if you start focusing on the symptoms, I'm not joking. I see clients coming with shopping bags of supplements because they're fixing the symptoms and they're not fixing the root cause. Because the training, and you girls have way much more training than you think. Because the thing is, you've been working with me, so I hopefully I infuse a lot of my knowledge into your practice.
Quite a bit over the years.
But that's the thing. So as bring back. So when people focus on the symptom, go back into the root because the root will help us to clear out. And I know I'm exactly like you. If I have a pimple, I will freak out. I'm going to try to put a concealer. I'm going to try to put everything to cover it up because society says it's not okay. But I see people with acne down the road 10 or 15 years from now. I'm not saying that all the acnes will go to that, but I see a link where people could have MS, multiple sclerosis, because they didn't take care of the symptoms and it just spiraled down to MS. Or it was the beginning of MS. Then we could have treated before it goes all the way to where they're being sitting into a wheelchair. And remember, guys, I'm not saying acne lead to MS. It could.
Don't worry.
Disclaimer.
Asterisk, highlight, underlined. But I'm glad you brought that up because something that I've always said from the beginning of me starting and being a nutritionist is Yes, our goal is to get rid of your symptom of acne, but what we're really doing is repairing the body at a very deep level to prevent more deadly and serious diseases later on in life. Because acne is one of those glaring symptoms where you're like, okay, I'm motivated, I got to take care of this. But when you go to and rebalance everything, you're putting your body back in that optimal state of homeostasis where it can function well.
Mhm.
And again, reducing your risk of worse diseases later on in life, which I think is such an important thing to remember.
You're so right, because you're exactly on it. We're taking care not, yes, clients come to us because they have a symptom, but this is what brings the clients to us. It's because they have symptoms and they don't know how to address it. So we're not focusing on the symptoms, but we're being guided through the symptoms. Why do I want to bring you this to that? It's because I'm pretty sure it happened to you girls. A client will start your program and then they start like breaking out like crazy and they're like, oh, the program is not working. I'm
It's
getting
getting
worse.
worse.
And then you're like,
Help.
and then you're
Yeah,
like,
it actually goes, what
perfect.
did you do to me? Or is kind of what we get. What did you do
Oh
to
yes.
me?
Most of the time the client says like, you're not good, you don't know what you're doing. And I'm like, good. Things in are coming out. Yes, the symptoms are getting worse, not because we're working on it, it's because it was going to become worse. And now we're fixing it. It just happened that sometimes it's a mixed match of it, something that your body tried to take it out, or sometimes
Mhm.
it just happened,
Mhm.
it will happen and eventually, and we're addressing the root cause. So yes, everybody says, Andre, take care of the root cause, but make my pimple disappear like within 2 seconds.
I
And
want
I
it gone
always
yesterday.
yes, exactly. And I always say my powers are Harry Potter's power. So my house is with Dr. Dumbledore.
I love Harry Potter, so I'm loving this reference.
Yes. So I have like, it's like a two-part question.
Mhm.
So when I review files, so we love to always have another set of eyes, a trained set of eyes, and you are like by far think way outside the box. So I'm going to appreciate that all the
Mhm.
time. So when a client's file is brought to you from myself, from somebody else, what other tools do you often get presented with? So meaning, you know, I should also preference that Andre's picky too, and he would not work with us if we didn't have our ducks in a row. And all the other coaches inside the program have really attested to Andre's training through me for this perfectionism.
Like I know people on the outside, you're like, oh, it's just Kate and Chris. They look at a couple intakes and it is what it is. Everyone listening would be shocked, like absolutely shocked at the level of detail and systems we have in place behind the scenes for client files.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you go into an intake that is prepared before a file is brought to a licensed clinician, such as Andre, it is just the in depth of it. It's like you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I just needed to preface this so people really understood the level of detail that's required.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
when we come to you, what are some of those things that it's a must? Like you're like, this file's not complete. Like, let's not waste time. Like, bring me details.
Okay. So you're right, because you girls, you've been doing it all the time, and I love that. I really appreciate for that. I want to see first what a picture of a client look like. And
Mhm.
Chris can testify about it. I don't look at the picture as I don't look at the pimple. I look at the quality of the pimple. I look at the texture of the pimple. I look at the location of the pimple. I look at the complexion of the skin. I look at everything. So when a client come to me or when I see people in virtual conferences, I like to see them because the thing is, a picture or an image will show me way much more than what they say. Okay? Meaning, if I'm talking to you guys and I'm glaring up and I'm like rolling my eyes, what does it show? It shows that I'm not interested into it.
Mhm.
So if a client, I come up with a subject and and you guys are you're showing me things and I see like you're going, oh my God, what is he talking about? Then I know I'm not going to go there because I know it's not like maybe you're not ready there, but I will bring you. This is my goal, is to bring you to my knowledge. Eventually one day. I don't know how long we still have
We're
to live together to be able to do that.
well, we're still trying to narrow down your age here. So when we figure the puzzle out, we'll let you know.
Exactly. So a picture, very important. Okay. A full intake. The full intake meaning I want to know, like, if your stools, I don't know, like, normal stools. Okay, what does it mean, normal stools? Just to give you an example, I had a client says, Andre, my stools are perfect. I have 18 diarrhea green stools a day, and I've been that for all of my life.
Oh,
Him, the client, says that that was normal. So if I took normal and I wrote down normal, I will have gone like, oh my God, I will have missed the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
Why was it green? Why was it watery? Why was 18, not 2, not 3,
18.
18? So I asked him a simple question. What water are you drinking? He says, in my backyard, I have a little water fountain and I love to drink the water as soon as the sun rises. We realized that in the water, and I said, can you get that water tested? He was getting all the feces and the urine from different animals into it. So one of the things that came out, and I know it's not an STD, because I will say the word and people will go, oh my God, this is an STD. It was chlamydia pesticide. So it's viruses and a bacteria that exists in bird stools. So the birds were going to that fountain and they were like washing themselves. The guy, without realizing, he was drinking that water because it was pure and it tastes great. But is it in full conception? He thought that the water was pure because it was coming from a fountain. So stools. So I want to see stools. I want to see like digestion. When people say I digest well, I'm like, okay, do you chew your food? And you know, girl, you know how I work. It's for me, it's not, yes, I chew. No, no. Do you chew your food? Okay. What is the consistency when you're swallowing your food? Okay. Do you take time to chew your food? And I'm pretty sure you can say yes about that. When I say to people that the digestion starts in our mouth, does not start in our stomach, it starts in our mouth. If you don't chew your food there, you will disrupt everything. So I want to see, are you chewing? So I want to see a complete intake form. So are you digesting? Are you eating? Are you watching TV when you're eating? And people will say,
Mm.
it's not even relevant. I'm like, yeah, because when you watch TV and you get passionate about a show, there was one of the TV show that I loved. And when I was watching it, I was like shoving down my food. People said I was inhaling my food. I was not even chewing it because I was getting passionate about it. It was a series where it was a lot of action that was going, and I was like, oh my God, I was going with the rhythm of the movie. So I want to make sure, are they eating with the TV on? Is there a TV in the kitchen? So I will say to my client, and I know they hate me for that, close your TV when you're eating.
How dare you, Andre? How dare you?
Exactly. And they say, yeah, it's for my kids. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So tell me
Sure.
which show which show you're watching that's for the kid.
I'm
I
watching The
was
Walking Dead. That's what it is. Yeah, for my
exactly.
kids.
I was watching
I
Mother.
still have like a bit of vomit from the bird feces comment.
I I don't know if you could have seen Chris and I's faces while you were sharing this. We were
Oh,
like, huh.
Uh-huh.
and we should be adverse to this because the amount of stories we can
That's
share.
a new one for me. I can say that is a new
That's
one
a
for
new
me.
one. But I do
Yeah.
love how you're going into a lot of lifestyle factors because
Yeah.
they are pivotal in holistic applications. Of course, we have the medical files and the timelines. And did you have mono when you were 5? And did you have repeated yeast infections? And
What about
did
that food
you
poisoning in Thailand that you had?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. You
Mm-hmm.
eat raw sushi every day? These types of things, right? The pictures, that file. But these lifestyle connections, don't they tell us a bazillion pounds of information on how we
Mm-hmm.
can start the preventative process?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I love it.
Also, sleeping. One of
Oh,
my big thing.
I
People
know.
are so stressed about their acne, and I play guilty because when I have a pimple, I flip, even if I know. But the thing is, if I don't sleep well, I will get a pimple.
surprise, surprise.
And it's not because my skin has an issue, it's because I didn't sleep. And you know, the cortisol level has a big
Hmm.
impact with the skin
Mm-hmm.
because it's the fight and flight response. The only way your body knows how to fight, flight, and flight response, the first one will be acne. Poof! It just shows up on the skin. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Other people will stress out. They're going to have like their heart pounding. They will have shortness of breath. That will impact the digestion, will impact the elimination of their stools will impact everything. So sleeping, important. Also, when they go into a fight, who never went into a fight with their partner in life And then 2 or 3 days later, poof, they go, or the kids, and then poof. And then everything disrupts. So emotional aspect, sleeping, watching TV, watching Walking Dead while you're eating.
While
Don't
you're
do
eating.
that one.
Yeah, going to be in the fight or flight response on that one.
Exactly. My guilty pleasure was Motherland Fort Salem. So I play guilty with that.
Yeah. Not while we're eating. And I'm glad that you brought up the importance of the lifestyle factors, because for us, those are some of the biggest things we talk about, especially, you know, on social media. I'm always harping on lifestyle factors because they have such a big impact on our skin. And it's the emotional component is something that we always want to skip over, because it's not, as Chris would say, sexy. It's not the, oh, I'm going to do a detox kit and I'm going to do this and that. No one wants to deal with their emotional baggage.
But we're realizing a lot of it. One of my best friends, she's a surgeon. And at one point she was asking, why does Andre always talk about emotion? And she saw with her clients, so she's a surgeon, so she do surgery. She goes open, cut, and remove, and that's it. She saw in her practice, so within 5 minutes, because doctors only have 5 minutes in their practice to see the client, she saw a conversion. What is a conversion? An emotional behavior that translated into a physical aspect. So she's talking to the client, and the client didn't want to go there. So her tongue stuck out of her mouth, and she was paralyzed. She did all the neuro tests, and everything came normal. So the psychology was capable of paralyzing a big tissue.
Wow.
And I know if you bite your tongue, how sensitive it is.
Oh.
She took a needle and she was poking the tongue, and the tongue was not responding, but the cranial nerve was not attacked. It was intact. So that the emotion had that powerful impact on. And I have one of my clients, she's a doctor in psychology, and she does a lot of emotional thing. And she comes and see me. Remember, she's a psychologist. She comes and see me for emotional consultation to help her to alleviate some of the tension. One of them is stress, because she doesn't have enough
I'm
time
gonna
to
drop
do
my shoulders.
everything.
I know. I'm trying to like drop them down.
We're looking
I
all
play guilty
natural.
also.
Yeah.
But yes, we're like this. We're trying to do a computer. Oh, I have to go and pick up the kids. Oh, I have to do this, this. And then people leave the office, and then they go in their car, and they go like, and then they go on their phone, and they're like, oh my God. And then they make supper. And then they're wondering why they have acne.
I know. Like who knows? I know. I can't figure it out. Why do I feel like crap all the time? Why do I feel like crap?
Exactly. And then
I
you
know.
touch them here, and it's like hard.
Exactly. And it's interesting, right? With acne, is it's like we said, it's such a prevalent issue. So that's why people are always like, oh my gosh, how do I get rid of it? And so for you, you know, when we are looking at that HTMA, what would you say, Andre, or what would you say are the minerals that are the most important for an acne sufferer when looking at that HTMA?
Okay, so the first mineral that people will associate right away will be zinc. Zinc is one of the main one because we do know that is a cofactor. Remember, I love cofactors. Selenium also, molybdenum. Because why? Those factors have an impact also on the glucose metabolized, okay? Chromium, vanadium. So those big ones. But if I have to pick, let's say, because you know, you're putting me in a spot where you're saying, okay, which is the best mineral? So my first big 5 ones. So zinc, calcium. Why calcium? Because calcium now, there's a lot of research that are coming up that says calcium now, when you're taking calcium supplement, and remember, I'm not promoting calcium supplement, it can prevent colon cancer, digestive cancer, and esophageal cancer also. So it prevents cancer. Magnesium, it's one of my big.
We
go
love
for.
magnesium.
Yeah.
So zinc, calcium, magnesium, copper, and selenium. These are my big 5 ones that I love the most.
Do not run out and buy these. He is saying he likes these prevalent in the HTMA to show what the body's doing.
Yes. Asterisk highlight. Don't add to cart.
Sweating over here.
I know Chris I knew Chris was going to have a panic attack on that one.
Yes.
Our clients would be like, I'm going to buy those 5 minerals. We're like, no, don't.
No, because people often overdo the zinc. And, you know, when we overdo the zinc, we throw off the copper. Not just that, if we have any kind of candidiasis, hello, zinc, just feeds the candida. Why? Because we've imbalanced the zinc and the copper, which play pivotal to also the immune system. So before everybody thinks that's a great idea, come talk to Chris, because she's going to walk you off the ledge.
You can tell she's very passionate about this topic.
I am.
It's one that really gets to her. So the next question I have, which I'm so excited for you to answer this because it's something that we basically preach on social media, is when a client is dealing with acne, do you recommend they go straight for a liver detox? And what is the importance of this?
No, and I love that question.
No, say it again. Say it again.
No, do not go into a liver detox. I know it's a trend. I know a lot of people are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. The reason is if you're cleaning your liver or you're forcing your liver to clean itself, where will it go? Where the toxin will go? If the rest of the body cannot deal with it, it will manifest itself. And I love Katie. She's going like, here.
On the skin, right here. It's going to go right here.
But I
right
see
here.
it all the time. People will go and get into a health food store, walk in, and I used to work for a health food store. So I'm not bashing anybody that works in health food stores. They're good people, except the knowledge, it's not always there for the client needs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying do not go to any kind of a health food store. They're very good people. You can go there for easy question, making sure you're staying healthy. But
they don't have the medical.
Yep.
The history, the photos, all of these different things to make it a file. Yeah.
Exactly. So if people take any herbs to detox themselves, so will be bitters, will be any kind of artichokes, will be black radishes, will be dandelion leaves.
Milk
That's
thistles.
great. Yeah, exactly. That's very good. But if your body does not know how to deal with it, it's the same thing and remember, it's things that I want to rule out. So if you're forcing your body to detox, you can injure yourself more than if you're not. So I want to learn Spanish. I have to prepare myself to learn Spanish. I'm not going to jump into a Spanish class and going, hey, by the way, I'm going to go to Mexico tomorrow because I know how to speak Spanish because I had one class. It's a learning process. Exactly. I would love to learn Chinese because this is my strength. But I'm learning, and it's been 5 years? I'm trying to learn Chinese, and I'm not even there yet. When I speak to my Chinese
client,
what
time?
I'm casually learning Chinese on the side.
Yeah, because I have time.
Yeah.
Oh, I find time. You want to make time?
Ask
someone. If you want to ask someone to do something, ask the most busiest person on earth, and they will find time to do something. Mm-hmm. Ask the one that has the most time, and they don't have time to make a single task.
Look at that.
I want to see Andre's adrenaline panel, but whatevs.
Oh, but the thing is, out of all my scope of practice, I was trained also, and I was training people for 15 years in yoga, Pilates, and Tai Chi. So I know I have my adapting mechanism.
What credentials don't you have is what I'm curious. I think that would have been an easier way.
Astronaut.
He is not an astronaut. Okay, everybody, that is the one
credential. Until tomorrow when he starts to apply
when he picks it up.
Yeah,
he'll do it on Sunday afternoons.
Astronauts, they need to have a PhD degree.
Mm-hmm.
And the most famous one that we know, they have about 2 or 3 PhD, up to 5 PhDs.
So you you got a couple more to write, and then you'll be fine.
You're on it.
My best friend, she has 3 post PhD degree in nutrition because she didn't know what to do with nutrition. So she did her PhD in nutrition, and then she did 3 extra. So she's overqualified in fat.
Yeah, that's a lot of PhDs. That's a lot of dedication right there.
Yeah.
So that the point is, do not push the liver, please, because it will push back. It has its own emotional vice.
It will win.
It will win. And you're not quite, if you're suffering with acne and you have any kind of, emotional confidence, any that kind of psychospiritual connections that are imbalanced, you better believe you're going to trigger these, right?
Oh yeah. The liver in traditional Chinese medicine, as we all know, is known as the seat of anger. So if you're really pushing that detox and a little heavy, that angry, irritable, emotional side will just go from 0 to 100 real quick.
Not fun.
And what is the color of anger? I love that.
Ooh,
red.
But my answer was red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the complementary color is green. The color green, it's the skin The skin green on acne underneath will be
Mhm.
liver. So when you see, and I've been doing it with Chris, when I look at the skin, I look at the color, the complexion, and underneath. And sometimes I will see greenish, I will see reddish,
Mhm.
red, green together. Combine red and green together. Try it today. Like you to paint, mix
Mhm.
green and red together. Watch the color, and then apply it on your skin and look at your pimple. You will see it matches about the same thing.
Mhm. I know we're really big on the color of the pimples themselves, the colors underneath the coloring, because it tells so much when, when you're looking at acne, it's not just about how many pimples are on the face, it's the color of them, the disbursement, the coloring around. Like there really is a lot more to it. So I know we have one final really big question that we get all the time, and I'm going to let Chris ask it because it's one that we're all going to love.
Okay, ready? All right. So when you hear somebody, a practitioner, a patient, client, whoever, say, well, the HTMA is not accurate, what are some things we need to consider to understand the accuracy of the HTMA?
Okay, so you're talking about the way it's been done, the way the
We often hear
procedure.
that
Anything.
there's no validity, so it's not a valid test. It doesn't tell you anything.
My
It's
doctor
not.
doesn't support it.
Yeah, they say it's wishy-washy, all of those things.
Okay, so the lab that I know that you guys are using has an accredited number. So if you want to look at the lab, it's very easy. I'm pretty sure you girls, like whenever you're doing your
Mhm.
hair analysis, you always say where you're doing it from. So it's not like a washy thing. So that
No.
lab has specific requirement where it's FDA approved and where it's Santé Canada approved. So right away, right there, and I have friends that work with Santé Canada, and I always call them my RBs. So RBs, I don't want to say the word because it doesn't sound nice, but they're very, very, very on the point. So when they go into the lab, they want it because I used to work for a lab. I used to work for a pharma company. So they go in and they say, okay, you're doing it like this. What is the procedure that you're using? How do you doing it? What is your random test? When are you qualifying your machine? When are you recalibrating your machine? What metal are you using? What machine device is being used? What is the acid? And they have to show every permit, every licensing, everything about every detail. They don't run 1 to 8. No, no, no. They go through it to every step have to be approved by FDA and Santé Canada. And Santé Canada will go in, like, let's say they go into when they take the hair from the package and they put it in the machine, FDA and Santé Canada will check for that, how it's been processed, how the employee is doing it, who is the employee. Is it like a random person that does it, or is it a qualified, licensed person that will actually do it? So everything is standardized
Even how it's
into the
discarded and treated all that
exactly
way.
everything. So you can
With
always like
continual audits, I should say. So when you have the accreditation, you will have like a food inspection. If they walk into a restaurant and they're like, I'm here, let's check. Same thing with the lab that we do. So it's not a run of a mill lab. Like we put them through this scrutiny and
Yeah, it's not, because I think the issue is a lot of people come their doctors like, oh, it's pseudoscience. It doesn't mean anything.
exactly
what
the
about
error that
training?
the training
Training on
who
them.
who trains them or who they've been
No, I
No,
trained
no,
by.
I
just the
the issue.
validity is, when people say they're wishy-washy and I start asking questions, or I've had, some people are very open to say, oh, I don't know. Would you not say the training on these are extensive, like continual? Like it's not I learned it once and I have it. It is based on per person, the minerals and the complements of those together.
Exactly. And you have to remember that the owner of that company that you guys are dealing, he has a PhD in biochemistry, not a PhD in chemistry, a PhD in biochemistry. So that
Mhm.
means he know how the minerals work, how the body works with it, and how the body function with it, when is it deficiency, when is it excess also. And we have to remember that for you guys and me to be involved in that company, I'm putting my trust. So that means I'm putting all of my 15 years of university degree into the knowledge of what they
Mhm.
have. I've been running a lot with those tests. The common error that I see, it's not the lab. It will be the person that will submit the species or the specimen, or when they fill up the questionnaire form. Many times therapists will say, oh yes, but that report showed this, and I did another report, but they forget to add the age of the client, the sex of the client, the date of when they took the specimen, the day that they send it, and how they send it. Some people, I saw them taking, and I'm not joking, okay? I'm not eating this, but I took this just for the fun of it.
A candy wrapper.
A candy
Oh
wrapper,
my goodness.
putting the hair in it, wrapping it, putting it in an envelope, and sending it to the lab.
Oh my
Or
goodness.
tinfoil.
Oh, no.
I've seen that too, tinfoil. Hello,
So the
early
lab,
morning
the lab
ratios.
received this. So they received, I don't know if you can see,
A candy
Yeah.
wrapper. Yeah.
okay? What makes the color to stay on it? What makes the color, the imprint to go on it? I had a client. I was asking her to do a castor oil pack. So there's castor oil, and she's having to put it on her skin and then wrap it with a tissue and keep it in. She didn't have any saran wrap, so a clear thing. So she put a wrap, and she put it like this. And then she covered it. The following day, the ink of this was tattooed
On the skin.
on her
On the
skin.
yeah.
Yep.
Not colored. It was tattooed in. It stayed 5 to 6 months tattooed in the skin. So can you imagine what you're doing when you're using this on your hair?
Mhm.
Yes, when the labs receive that, what they should do, they should send it. But then the clients pay for that.
Mhm.
Then the clients are asking for result, but instantly they forget to realize that the lab, when he's receiving that, he's like, holy man, okay, how can we make the best test of what we're receiving? So they will do their best to do, but it's most of the time it's not the lab fault.
Mhm.
It's we call this the code 18. It's 18 inches from whatever you're putting into the envelope. So this is about 18 inches. So 18 inches, it's me.
That's
the
it.
problem.
It's going to go in. And that's
Yeah.
what it is, right? Is the HTMA is such an incredible functional lab that can be run, gives so much information from a simple test. Yet the unfortunate part is not a lot of people understand it well enough or are properly trained in it. So they don't see any use and they're like, oh, I'm just going to fluff it off. It's not a blood lab that I've been trained on, so we're not going to utilize it. But you have to remember that an HTMA test, you need extensive proper training on it to get the knowledge out of the test. So I'm sure this was an episode that everyone's going to need to go back and listen to again and maybe a third time because it was so informative. So Andre, thank you so much for taking time out of your day today to come and chat with everybody.
It was my pleasure. I love you girls so much that I know that you girls are into the field to help people. You're not there only to recruit clients and try to make money on the clients, because I see that all the time as therapists where they're only there not for the health of the client, but the health of their wallet. But you girls are amazing. You've been doing this for so much time. Exactly. And you have the right heart at the right place. And I can guarantee whoever you are dealing with, you girls, they're high qualified, they're the best therapists that I know. And the thing is, they're eager to learn more. Sometimes Katie and Chris will say, I don't know, help me.
I don't know. I need, please explain it.
That's 90% of my conversations with Andre. I don't know.
Exactly. When they come to me, I will not give them the answer right away. I'll ask them, why?
Every
we
time.
work for it. We work for it.
It's a pop quiz every time. Just for your own consult, it's a pop quiz.
No, it's not. It's an exam.
It's a board exam. It is a board exam.
Exactly. If you can pass my training, I'm guaranteed that you're well trained.
Absolutely. Well, Andre, again, thank you so much. And I hope everybody listening, I know you got some incredible nuggets of wisdom out of today's podcast. So we will see you again next week on the Clear Skin Chronicles. Thanks for hanging out with us this week on the Clear Skin Chronicles. We'll see you next Wednesday with a brand new episode. Remember to subscribe to the show and drop us a review. Sending glowing vibes your way, Katie and Chris.